contenders or
Oh,
stuff?
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Here we
And
go.
we are live. Back with another outstanding episode of the Square Table Degenerates, joined today by Gemini Joe Rickman. Say hi, buddy.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And returning to the show, front of the show, Mr. Jacques Rougeau, live. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing really fantastic. Actually, my eyes are shut a little bit there because we had a rough night last night, but I'm doing absolutely fine.
You guys threw down last night. Now, where did you meet up with the Hulkster at? Where were you guys at?
Yeah, we were staying in Orlando for the winter, but we drove to Clearwater, and we went to his hangout. I went to visit his shop for the first time and bought some T-shirts and stuff, and then finally went to the hangout where the karaoke happens on Monday nights, and even sang a song there. So
I did see that you were singing. It's County Jail. What's that?
Jailhouse
Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I had a lot of comments, so many comments today about, hey, it's so ironic that the jailbird singing Jailhouse Rock.
Okay, the guy arresting people, putting people in the Mountie always gets his man and singing the Jailhouse Rock. You'd be in charge of it, probably. You'd probably be zapping people like dancing.
Hey, guys, I got to tell you guys, if ever you're in Clearwater, you make sure and go check that place out. It's really awesome. It reminds you of the good times where the crowds are just wild and crazy. And Hulk, you know what? I think whatever he does in life, he's going to be the Hulkster. His son Nick is managing the place too. They're doing karaoke, and this guy Brandon that works there behind the machine. What a great crew, And I'm thinking, where's the other guy that takes care of Hulk there? The guy that takes care of Hulk, Ron. Just all these guys are just absolutely wonderful. What a great team. And Hulk gets in there. He makes his entrance after about half hour after it started. And it's amazing. He just walks in there and it's like in the buildings when he used to come into the crowd, it just lifts up. People never have enough of Hulkamania. It's amazing.
That's awesome, man. So since we last talked, bro, you've really got into it with the Wrestling Academy. Let's jump right into it, bro. What have you done with it? Where's it going? What's going on with it, man?
Well, before we're talking about hopefully where it's going or where we're at, let's go where it's been. And it's like it's just been the last season. The first season was amazing. We had everything that we were hoping for. We accomplished 4 wrestlers out of Canada that won the $5,000 prizes each, where QT Marshall was on the giant screen in the last main event there at the finals, choosing the 4 winners that we're going to go spend also 3 months at the Nightmare Factory in Atlanta, where that all happened. And the 4 winners had a great time being trained by Billy Gunn, Cody Rhodes himself, and QT Marshall. And it was amazing because, I went to see them at the Nightmare Factory when I was coming down in the fall. And these guys, we used to work hard in the ring, house shows and stuff. But let me tell you, Billy Gunn, QT Marshall, Cody Rhodes gets in the ring there with a new talent and just goes wild and crazy, like, taking bumps and giving bumps and doing high spots. And then, so that was amazing. And then plus, we got to remember that the winners of last year, the 4 winners had a chance to go work at the debut of AEW in Canada and Toronto. All 4 of my winners were promised to wrestle on Rampage and Dynamite, and they did. And then I also got Zashman, a guy from Australia who I've been doing a podcast. I've been doing podcasts pretty much around the world now with this Wrestling Academy. And this guy Zashman, he had promised me 4 wrestling figurines for the winners also, which they got and they're receiving them this week. So it's been a dream come true for a lot of them. And I remember when we finished last year, the last show of the event in the finals, when QT chose the 4 winners, the next morning I called QT up. I wanted to thank him so much for what he'd done for us, for the Canadian wrestlers. And the first thing I asked him, I said, QT, I said, are we doing this next year? Are we doing this again? And he said, for sure we're doing this. But he says, next year it's going to be different. He says, next year, Jacques, he says, you're not the one choosing the participants. He says, I want to choose the participant out of the inscriptions. I want to be the one choosing the participants. I want to be there also, not only for the finals, but the quarterfinals on the giant screen live. And I want to be there for the semifinals and the finals. And this is amazing because this year, the 3 winners are going to win $10,000 each. That's my WrestleMania payoff I had there. It's like, it's like, and these guys are all indies. Just small little indie shows that they have in Canada, and it was amazing because last year, like, we had 40 inscriptions, and we had like 21 from Quebec and only 19 out of Canada because there was a lot of non-believers in this project. A lot of haters and stuff like that, and trying to break this project. And this year, because of all the credibility we had and the guys got and the proof and everything, we had 70 inscriptions this year and only 11 from Quebec and like 59 from Canada. And the greatest talent just appeared. So if you go on wrestling-academy.ca, you could, if you have a chance to put that at the bottom during our podcast there, you could all go see the talent. The inscriptions are all there, and you click on their picture, and you go see a 30-second video of them in the ring talking and working, and you'll see the talent is absolutely amazing this year. So I'm really looking forward for this to start, and we're only 2 months away now. The heat, I've been talking about this for like 8 months now, choosing the things in September, the contestants and all that. But now here we are in March, and 1 day from now, and we're getting for the nitty gritty, and you should see the talent, how they're all getting prepared for this chance to win $10,000, and not only win the $10,000, but also to go to the Nightmare Factory and being trained by the guy who won the Royal Rumble not long ago, and the guy who's going main event in WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes. He's the one training you. And then you got QT Marshall and Billy Gunn of the Smoking Guns, which used to wrestle me and Raymond and me and Carl. So, it's just the best place to be in the world right now in this competition.
Yeah, Billy Gunn, the guy who doesn't age. He might be more popular now than he was back in when he was in DX and the New Age Outlaws.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I saw his shape, and when I stopped at the Nightmare Factory in the fall, you got this great gym with 2 rings in the back where everything's happening. And, these guys are having lessons on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, and double headers, like the beginners in the afternoon and the advanced in the evening. And they got this place in the gym. It's in the back storage, you could say. And they turned it into a heavy deadlift weight, where the big boys go and train. And I went to see one morning. I got up out of my Winnebago because I was there for like 4 or 5 days. And I went and I walked my way through that place back there. And there was QT Marshall and Billy Gunn, like with 3-4 plates of 45 pounds on the bar, on the Olympic bar, doing squats, full squats. And I was looking at Billy Gunn, and we have a long past together. We're good friends. And I looked at him and I said, "Jesus Christ, Billy!" I said, "Are you on steroids or something?" He just looks like a monster. So these guys, and that's the greatest thing about QT Marshall and them. They're clean. They're really straight and clean, and it's just hard work and years of perseverance. And so it's amazing what's going on now, and I'm just proud that I have a chance to be a trampoline for the Canadian wrestlers to have an opportunity to go and make it big in the world of wrestling. Because, guys, I don't promise working papers. I don't have that pull. But the only thing I promised them is to go spend 3 months at the Nightmare Factory. And, like Jeremy Prophet, I'm thinking of Matt Black, Chris Dillon, and Jessica Black last year who won, that made so many contacts in the States, with all the companies and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, when I started wrestling, there was 2 things that I realized for a wrestler. If you want to make it in this business, there are 2 things that got to happen. The first thing is you got to be at the right place at the right time. And the second thing is you got to know the right people. And this Wrestling Academy is doing that to them, both of those things. Being in Atlanta with the top wrestlers in the world, training them, it's just an amazing thing.
All right, we got a request from Jamie C. He says, "Can you speak some French for us?"
Bien oui, je peux parler français, mon ami. Je suis québécois totalement. And vive le Québec. Vive Montréal. Yeah.
And Shredder says you look like Jean-Claude Van Damme these days. Okay.
What can I say? I lost a little hair, but I'll tell you what. I didn't lose anything else, though. I'll tell you.
I want to give you some props too, man. Talk about your weight loss journey. Like last time we talked to you, you were a bit heavier, and I saw you had set a goal. Like, what was your original weight, and what was your goal that you got to? And tell us about it.
My original weight was about 245, when I was top shape, in my career. And then I had all these injuries, these operations last spring. My health just fell apart. And so I went up to 265. And when I took on the trip last fall to come down south, I was 265. And then I had a hard time tying my shoes, without blowing up. I couldn't even cut my toenails. It was bad. I had this big belly and chubby. So I decided with my girlfriend, I said, hey, we got to get back in shape. And so I went from 265 and now I'm 239. So I lost 26 pounds. But I'm in shape now. No more belly and nothing. Got good legs and good chest, good arms. And so I feel like, honestly, if I wasn't afraid, if I wasn't concerned with my health, I could probably get back in the ring right now, because I'm doing cardio. Like I'm doing 20 minutes of heavy cardio in the morning, and then with the free weights and everything. I'm gonna go at the Nightmare Factory in about a week from now to stop by and see Cutie on the way back up. And I'm going to go in the ring and train with these guys. I'll get some films for you guys. I'll put it on my Facebook for those who want to see my stuff. I'm probably going to accomplish something that I don't think there's no other wrestler ever accomplished. I'm going to be 63 years old, and I'm going to put a video of me doing a nippa, like being on my back. And like
you did that last couple years back, you did that.
2 years back, I did it. But I'm going to be 63 now, and I'm going to get back in shape. I am in shape now. So I honestly believe that I could do that. So I can't wait to get in the ring. And the fun thing about it is I'm going to stop with QT. I'm going to give the lesson with Cody Rhodes, QT, and Billy Gunn. I'm going to jump in the ring with them and train the young guys. And I'm also going to spend some time with the younger guys there, give a conference. I want to give a conference to them, give them some saves about some good pointers and good things to you could go in the ring and you could learn about wrestling, but you got to learn about the life around wrestling. You got to learn how to be with the boys, how to dress up, your dress code, your acting, your being on time, your punctuality, your professionalism. And I'm going to go spend some time, tell some stories, and do that with these young kids that are all starting and want to live the dream. So I can't wait to go to the Nightmare Factory next week.
Heck yeah, we got a request for the Ric Flair. So we actually do have a Ric Flair video here.
Yeah, it was awesome. This is just awesome.
Let me see if I can pull this up here. Bear with me, guys.
Yeah, he's so nice to me. Ric Flair has always been so nice to me.
All right, hold on. Here we go.
What an inspiration for the Canadian wrestlers that are in the tournament.
All right, stand by. It takes a little bit. Yeah, he's now Ric Flair's taken to the weed now. He's a weed guy like us over here at the Square Table. He's full on in the weed. So you might know it's Ric Flair with the little stoned in this here. So this is Mr. Ric Flair with a message for everybody about the Academy.
And he's got his own rap song.
Woo! Hello, Canadian wrestlers, male and female. It's your boy, the original Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, 16-time world champion. Wishing all you great luck at Jacques Rougeau's Wrestling Academy, the greatest wrestling academy ever known to the great country of Canada. $10,000 in prizes, man. You guys work hard. Party hard. Live hard. And live like the role model Jacques Rougeau himself. God bless you. Stay strong. Make 2023 the greatest year of Jacques Rougeau's Wrestling Academy. It's the Nature Boy saying, woo! Happy New Year. Jacques, I love you, my brother. Stay strong. Woo!
So how many times do you think, how many times do you think Flair says a day? Woo! Because he's doing the cameos, he's doing the pro. You know what I mean? He's got to say it like 1,000 times a day. You know?
But he's such an icon and a legend. Every time I show that, don't ask me how many times I looked at that video. I'm like a mark. I'm just there watching it every time. I'm so impressed the way he mentions my name and the way he has so much pride in the Wrestling Academy. It's like, for me, it's amazing. I have so many wrestlers. I had Undertaker do one, Brett did one. I had them all. Ricky Steamboat did one. Tonga did one. Bushwhacker Luke did one. It goes on and on. If you go on my wrestling-academy.ca, you'll see all the guys that I used to work with. Tito Santana, Double J Jeff Jarrett, Warlord. It goes on and on. They all encourage the Canadian wrestlers. And the greatest thing now for me, guys, is there has never been a competition like this around the world, where 3 amateur wrestlers like that indies could win $10,000 and spend 3 months at the Nightmare Factory with these professionals, these guys. So this contest is becoming unique, the biggest one, and it's like, and I'm waiting. I'm just waiting to see. It's so exciting, guys, when you're sitting there at the Club Soda in Montreal like last year, and you have QT Marshall that sees the greatest talent in Canada competing. And I'll tell you something that's really amazing about the contest. A lot of people, they say, well, Jacques, of course, knowing that you want to keep the interest for the end there, for the finals, you're going to put a weaker guy with a stronger guy at the beginning, and then have that elimination. So they know pretty much they could call the shots as it's going along to see the best meet at the end. But it's not like that. I put the best at the beginning, one against each other. So that means that two guys that are hoping to win this contest, one of them after the quarterfinals on the 7th of May in Club Soda Montreal is going to be looking at QT Marshall, and he's going to be saying, you got to go home, my friend. You're going home. And the other one is you keep on going. And you should see last year there was in the ring, I swear, there was some talent, that mature talent, that I stayed surprised that they started crying at the end of this because they see a potential. They see a chance of a lifetime, a dream of a lifetime. So, and it was like for 5,000 this year, but 10,000 this year. Hey, you can do a lot of things with $10,000, But I think it's more the opportunity just to like I said earlier, it's like it's who you know and being at the right place at the right time. And everybody's been waiting for this for 8 months. And so I just can't wait. I'm so excited. I don't have the heat, that I don't have to sit there and choose somebody. It's like I'm putting it all in QT's hands. Like, if someone's not choose, don't blame me, And you know what I liked about QT Marshall? I'll tell you one thing that I've learned to know him over the last year is like he is really professional. Like, if you go in there with a pair of jeans, you're not going to make it. If you go there and you don't have professionals with your gear, and if you're not professional about marketing yourself, he's looking at details. He chose, when we were choosing all the talent, we had 71 to choose and we only kept 34. 10 women and 24. And when I saw him choose with me, he was side by side with me. We'd look at each other after every video. I'd look at him, see how he felt, and how it. And a couple of times, I saw the talent was amazing, and QT would say, "No, we're not taking him." And I was wondering why, and then I'd ask him why. So he's really into details. And then another time, he picked a guy that I was sure he wasn't going to pick, and for one reason, for something he saw in him. And he says, "Yep." He says, "We're going to take him." And so the thing about this competition is like there's nobody that has a better chance than anybody else, because you could be a better wrestler, but if QT Marshall sees something he likes in you, because sometimes you could take a talent, and he already picked up. He's been wrestling 15 years, 16 years. He already picked up his bad habits, and it's hard to break. And sometimes you could pick up a younger wrestler that you could break, you could form. You could form him, So this competition is so wild. So you don't know who he's going to choose. It's maybe not be the best wrestler, maybe just the one that he likes and for his own personal reasons. So this is going to be amazing.
Now, do you see QT as more of a old school type trainer back in the days when you were training and when other legends were training, or do you see QT as more of like a new school type trainer? Like
let's not go any further, Joe. You hit it right on the nail there. You're right on the head of the nail, because QT Marshall, I saw him wrestle one time. I don't watch wrestling. I haven't watched wrestling in 30 years. I didn't even watch AEW. Not even my contest is with the Nightmare Factory. I don't watch wrestling. I haven't watched it in 30 years. I don't know the talent. I don't know nothing. But when I was in Toronto last fall, and then my 4 winners wrestled there, I went to see him from Montreal, and QT Marshall was wrestling that night. And I swore that I saw the Mountie in the ring. He was like going in the ring, doing some moves, and then taking the time to acknowledge the people, to get a response from the people. It wasn't like too much, they say less is more. And,
that is missing so much. See,
1,000 moves that makes no sense. The guy who gives the drop kick to the guy who takes the drop kick, he's up before the guy who gave the drop kick in our days. That's what
I know.
But QT Marshall, he was out there, and I swear, when he'd do a big move, he'd turn to the people, and I almost could see him say, "Do you know who I am?" And I was seeing the Mountie again. And I told him after, when I spoke with him in the fall, when I went to see him, I said, "You know what, Cutie?" I said, "You remind me a lot of me. Like, when you're in the ring, the way you get your heat, you have a great communication with the people. It's like, I give you an example. You could do a move, and you could look at the people, and you could go and you could say to the crowd, like, how do you like that?" And then you go back to your move. Or you could go and you could do a move, and you could look at the people and say, how did you like that? Hey, I'm talking to you. I said, how did you like that? And then taking the time to go back to the person and to look in someone in the eyeballs and make them feel important on the side of the ring. And if you manage to get one person's full attention and get heat with one person there, you got heat with everybody. Because you did it, because it looked like you meant what you were saying. It wasn't just a routine. It was like really personal, and you had this connection with the fans. And I think QT Marshall is one of those guys.
Now, do they, at the Academy that you do and stuff like that, and even down at the Heat Factory down there in Atlanta, what's it called? Heat Factory?
The Nightmare Factory.
That's why I bring the wrestling guy. Do they teach? I mean, obviously they teach all the wrestling stuff, but are there like extensive classes on like mic work? Because I mean, you can get any big buffoon out there who's muscular, but to really work a mic, there's not many people who can do it, especially if they're really built. So is that like an integrated part of the training?
Yeah. Cody Rhodes was working a lot with the guys. Jeremy Prophet was telling me that, how much he had fun with that, just working with the interviews and the promos and stuff. And it was so funny because when I went there at the fall, I did a lesson for 2 hours. When all the guys were gone to do Dynamite and Rampage in the town one time, I just came in the ring with the guy that was there, the trainer, the B trainer that was there when they're not there, gone to TV. And I got into the guys, and I told the guys there's 2 rings. I asked the teacher there, I said, "Do you mind if I go in the other ring with the guys?" And I'm telling the guys, I said, "Do you mind?" I said, "If I take the guys in the ring, I'd like to go ahead and show them a few things." And the guy was really nice. He said, No, Jacques, take the ring. And it was so funny because I start giving them lessons before it starts. Like, I said, "You guys, I've noticed when you come in the ring like this, you're flat-footed, you turn around, you go into the move." I said, hey, it don't work like that. I said, it starts from the minute you come out of the curtains.
Exactly.
When you come out of the curtains, you got to come out there like you're afraid. You're scared. You got an opponent in front of you. And when you come up those stairs, you look at your opponent right in the eyes through the ropes as you're coming in. Like, you keep an eye on him. This man wants to kill you. He wants to hurt you. You can't be going up like nonchalant, like nothing, it's a routine. And you got to come in there and make the people believe that, hey, there's intensity in the air. Like, there's something going on there. And when you get in the ring, get off those flat-footed. Get on the end of your toes. If you come at me, I'm always at the end of my toes when I get in the ring, so I move laterally from side to side. And, and I say, you can't be standing flat-footed. If a guy charges you and you're flat-footed, you have no chance of getting out of the way. But if you're at the end of your toes, try and get me. And then I tell the guys, try and catch me. Really try and grab my leg. And the guys will try. They couldn't grab it because so I showed them some basic. And then I said, when you go to lock up, don't just go ahead and lock up. Do that snake. Boom, and then come in and get that expression. I said, the most expression you have is not the move. It's in your face. It's in your hand. It's in your body. So I had so much fun with these guys. And what I liked about the most is when I left there, I talked to Cutie later on, and then Cutie told me, he says, "Hey, Jacques, the guys really enjoyed the lesson you had with them when we were at TV there." He said, so I told him, I said, "Hey, when I'm going back next week," I said, "Do you mind if I give another class? I'd like to get." He says, Sure. So it's fun. I think that there's so much more than just the wrestling moves, but I think the Nightmare Factory is one of the greatest schools that you could go through, just because of the years of experience you have with Billy Gunn, QT Marshall, and Cody Rhodes.
Billy Gunn, Cody Rhodes, probably 2 future WWE Hall of Famers, as you should be in the Hall of Fame as well.
Well, let's ask you that. That's a good segue. What do you think, considering your resume, what was it, 3-time tag champ, Intercontinental champ, you're with the Quebecers, the Mountie,
Fabulous
Rougeau brothers, not to mention the fabulous Rougeau brothers, and you also pinned Hulk Hogan, when only like 8 people or some shit that clean pin Hulk Hogan. Do Do you think
You
you
know,
deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? What do you think?
well, I'm almost feel like asking you that, but I'll answer it before I ask you. I spent 11 years in the WWF and WWE. Three characters, and the three characters they got over. Like my three characters, they went over. Everybody, when I go in Comic Cons, they have pictures of me and the three characters when I go sign autographs and stuff. And I still go now, 30 years later in Comic Cons, and I sign for 3 hours. People come to see me from all over the place. And yes, I really deserve to be in there because I think that I've entertained the people when I was in the ring. I helped create the Hart Foundation. I helped create Tito Santana. I hate create the Bushwhackers. I hate create Big Boss Man. I hate create everybody I got into angles with. The Rockers. What great matches we had with Shawn Michaels and Marty. Everybody that I've worked with, the Bulldogs, they're all in the Hall of Fame. And you know what I always say to myself, and this is my deepest thought for a movie star. If you want to create a good Batman, you better have a good Joker. And that's what I was. I was the Joker. It's like, and but it takes two to tangle in wrestling. If you took Steve Lombardi and Barry Horowitz, which they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame also. If you take these two guys and instead of making jobbers with them, you push them and you give them a good finish and you push them and you push them and you push them, they would be over as much as anybody else. They're great workers. So it's not who wins or who's get the push. It's the talent in rings. So many times Raymond and I, we came into the ring and it was like, we have to work the crowd, like to get going, but as the match went along, every time at the end of the match, people were on their feet. It was like, so we managed to go get them every time we got into the ring. At the end of the match, we never left the people indifferent. Never. I don't remember one of my matches in 11 years when people didn't hate my guts or loved my guts. And if they loved my guts, it's because I was in Montreal. Because apart from that, they hated my guts.
Yeah.
But even Jimmy Hart, him composing our music, like you don't like heavy metal, you don't like rock and roll. All you like to listen to is Barry Manilow. Hey, we're all American, all American. And then if you go, I'm the Mountie, I'm handsome, I'm brave, all these things that we've accomplished over the years.
One of my favorite theme songs, by the way.
But you're not the only one who says that. I'm not being how do you say that? I don't want to brag about myself, but everywhere I go, people start singing my songs all the time. It's like, oh, that's one of my favorite songs. Or that's one of my and if anything happens, if anything happens one day, I honestly believe that the name Rougeau should be in the Hall of Fame. Hey, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my father, my uncle, we're four generations, my three sons, four generations of the Rougeau family. So if you don't have the Rougeau family in wrestling in the Hall of Fame, after 11 years of me performing, and even Raymond, after 4 years performing with me, became a TV interviewer for them.
Yeah.
He did. We were a first-class act. Maybe in the ring we were bad boys, but on the outside, dress code, on time, professional. So I think with all that said, yes, I think I should be in the Hall of Fame. And now, how about you guys? You guys, be honest.
Well,
Do you think you
with,
guys?
Mr. Gemini Joe, what do you think? What do you think about Mr. Jacques? I mean, don't discount the fact he's right here in front of you. But do you think Jacques Rougeau should be in the Hall of Fame or what?
I'm a lot of valid points, and the thing about like the WWE Hall of Fame is just it's gonna be interesting now because with the new regime change with Triple H having probably more power than he's ever had in the company, and he seems to have more of a traditional wrestling mindset than Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, he was like a business guy, like the business of wrestling, but Triple H, he was a wrestler. And to me, if you look at it, Jacques brought up some great points, it does take two to tango. Very entertaining matches. I remember, I think one of the first feuds I've seen you was like when you were feuding with the Bushwhackers. Those were some like entertaining matches. And then
Big Boss Man. Remember the Big Boss Man, the jailhouse match?
You know what? I wanted to ask you that skit where you flipped off the cop. Was that a real cop, or was that all part of the show?
All part of the show, baby. But you know,
who came up with that idea? Was that you or Vince or Patterson? Who came
about
up
what?
with that idea?
What exactly? With the Mountie gimmick?
No, the when they shot the scene of you at the jail after losing the Boss Man.
That was Vince.
Cop.
That was Vince's idea.
Vince's idea. Okay.
And yeah, it was amazing. He loved that character so much, and and Vince came up with the gimmick too as the Mountie, and I came up with the cattle prod. That was my idea to have the shock stick. And my idea, there was two things I asked when he called me back to come back after Raymond retired. It was like I wanted to bring my shock stick in. It was different because I had a wrestler, a manager in Quebec that was Eddie the Brain Creechman, who used to have that when I was young, and he used to scare the crap out of me when I was in the dressing room. He was Abdullah's, the butcher's manager. So if he convinced me then, so I knew I would convince the people too. And then the second thing was that I have Jimmy Hart as my manager, because Jimmy Hart is the greatest manager of all times. And people sometimes they say, "Oh, easy, Jacques, easy, Jacques." And I'm going to tell you why, if you want to know why he is. Jimmy Hart was the only manager that would come on an interview and he wouldn't do like this. He would not do like this. He'd come on an interview and he'd say, let me tell you something. I know what it takes. I got the brains to do this. I got this. Jimmy Hart. He was the only manager that would come in and say, let me tell you something about my guys here. Let me tell you something about my men here. It was always about his characters. It was never about him. He was the guy who was on time, the guy who made your music, the guy who dressed up his costumes. He made suits that had your gimmick on it. Jimmy Hart is the most professional manager of all times because he gave credibility to his wrestlers instead of taking the heat. And today I go in Comic-Cons around the world, and it's so funny because Jimmy Hart, when he's with me or he's beside me, his line is one of the longest lines that people wait in line to see. They want to see Jimmy Hart. And it's so funny. So to me, that's why I could honestly say he's a GOAT. Jimmy Hart, I hope he's in the Hall of Fame. But Jimmy Hart,
I believe he did get inducted.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest managers of all time, not taking anything away from all the other managers that were great, in their own characters, but for those professional reasons as a talent. So when I came back as the Mountie, I told Vince I want to have Jimmy Hart as my manager.
Now, I'll tell you real quick, one of my favorite memories of Jimmy Hart, it was actually involving one of your matches. I believe it was at the Royal Rumble, one of the prelim matches. You were wrestling Coco Beware. And all of a sudden, like, Jimmy Hart goes over and starts shit-talking Frankie. And I don't know, for me, as like a 9-year-old kid at the time, I just thought that was like one of the funniest things ever.
I'll tell you the funniest thing ever, talking about Coco Beware and Frankie. My first match when I came back as the Mountie, my first match, I'm wrestling Coco Beware. I'm nervous with my stick. I got a stick that has, I don't know how many volts, but it's a real stick. And I got a button here in the back that's an emergency button on my handle, and I got the top button here to put a click on and off. But I got this emergency back here like this. So I'm so nervous. I get in the ring, and after 15 minutes of match with him, Coco Beware soaking wet in the ring. I don't know what I did, but I must have flipped the button on in the back. And when I started zapping him, Coco Beware started shaking like crazy in the ring. Like, he was, and I was looking at him like, wow, Coco, you're doing a great job for me, man. This is awesome. And then the next thing you know, it starts smelling like pig. When you burn skin. And then I'm going like, wow, Vince, what great effects you have. This is great effects I thought he was putting in the ring. And what a great job. So when I got back to the dressing room, I'm waiting for Coco Beware with my big arms open to hug him and to kiss him, to thank him so much for the way he made me look out there, And he wanted to kick my ass. He came in, you shit, and he was screaming at me. I was like, what the hell? I lost completely what the hell was going on. And we're the best of friends, me and Coco, and we always laugh about this now today when we talk on the phone and when we meet. But I swear it was so bad for me because all the other people that were in the dressing room saw the first match where I almost electrocuted him. So they're all saying like, the next time you think the Mountie, you're gonna do it to me. It's like kiss my, you're not doing this to me. I'm not doing. And then so I was, but it's so funny because we laugh about that today, me and Coco. But I felt so bad. I really did when it happened.
Now this is down the same line. I was just randomly thinking of this because we just had on Jake the Snake a couple weeks ago. Did you ever wrestle Jake the Snake and have that snake put in your face?
Yeah, I did. And I can't remember what place it was, but I'll tell you, that wasn't the worst part. The worst, I have, we all have phobies, and my phobies is bees. Like, I can't stand a bee around me. I just can't. And snakes. And then and the worst part was when Jake, I love him to death. Even he did a video you'll see on my wrestling-academy.ca. He did a video for my contest. But Jake, every time he'd come in the dressing room, he had this big, long snake there, a huge snake in the green bag there, and he'd come in and he'd put it in the shower, and he'd put the water on a bit. So I'd hate it because every time we'd always work earlier than him on the card, and every time I came in, I'd never shower. Because, I'd always go back to the hotel room and shower because he was taking the shower for a snake. There's no way I'm getting in the shower with that snake. Yeah, he's. I've always been afraid of snakes. I think I'm not the only one, though, huh?
That's a common fear. It really is. Snakes, heights, spiders. Usually, people are deathly afraid of spiders. I love spiders. I really do. Spiders just like they take care. That'd be actually. I mean, you couldn't do the Spider-Man gimmick, but you could have like the keeper of spiders or something. That'd be a cool gimmick.
I was actually going to say I love Spider-Man. I love the Spider-Man.
They tried to give somebody that gimmick where he'd carry like a spider or a tarantula to the ring. It didn't work out very well.
I remember somewhat, like I watched a lot of those like compilation videos with it, like top 10 times this did that and WrestleMania and all that. And I think I remember some kind of knockoff Spider-Man thing or WCW, I think.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Wow.
Here's a question from Mike. He says, anytime any props were just straight up too dangerous, basically any match or any props that you had and any kind of thing were just like too dangerous and you couldn't do it or anything malfunction anytime like that?
Well, I wasn't a guy like in the new era there, the guys that would fly over and fall into tables and chairs and stuff like that. So I've never been a guy like that. But apart from that, I got to be honest with you. I didn't have much things that I was afraid of or that I didn't take because the guys that we worked at a time were just absolutely great workers. The area that I was in the 80s and the 90s, the guys, we had this philosophy, and there was only one or two guys that I can't remember working with them as a matter of fact, but most of the guys we were brought up in the same philosophy as like, example, if you got a guy in the ring and you're doing a move there, a pretty wild move off the top or something, or a dangerous move where you catch the guy and you got to flip him for a power slam or something like that, where the head's in danger or the neck's in danger. Most of the guys, and I taught that at my school for 20 years, like if ever you have a guy in the air and you feel like you're losing your balance, where you make sure that he falls straight and you fall crooked. Because, the first thing you do is this guy's giving you his body. So you got to protect his body before you protect yours, So that's the era I worked with. I worked with so many talented wrestlers at the time that was like that. Well, some of the greatest guys that if anybody asked a question that I like to work with, like Tito Santana, and Bret Hart, and I'm thinking a Big Boss Man. We'd go in night after night where he'd do me this power things and this power moves. I could never feel nothing. I'd give him my body, and and it was just so guys like that. I was lucky. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. What a great time we had with them, with the Rockers, as the Fabulous Rougeau brothers. And we did our matches. We did marathon matches with these guys. A 1 hour match, and the one who ended up with the most falls. And we were doing that for a while. And I remember doing one in London, England, like in an afternoon show at 1 o'clock, and fly to Philadelphia that night, and because there's 6 hours difference, we came here and we did another show, another hour match. So we did 2 hours of wrestling with these guys, but it was easy. The guys, we were in shape, me and Raymond. The Rockers were absolutely marvelous. Marty Jannetty was awesome, and so was Sean. And then I'll never forget the time when Vince, he couldn't believe we were doing those marathon matches, and so he put us in the Madison Square Gardens to put this match because we'd heard so many good things about it. And you know what? 1 hour in the Madison Square Garden, and I'll never forget the rib we played on Vince, because at the end of the hour, we end up where we managed to make it a tie, like 6-6 in the falls. And then I roll out of the ring. We're all tired and everything, and dying at 6-6, and we're happy, me and Raymond, like we didn't get beat. And then I grabbed the microphone and I said, you know what? If you think, Rockers, you're gonna get away with this, I want overtime. And we went another 12 minutes. We did 1 hour and 12 minutes at the Madison Square Garden, and Vince Vince was pissed off because he had no idea. We thought we had a fuck up when we finished 6-6.
Right.
But we had played a rib on him to do another extra. And Shawn Michaels and Marty and Raymond and we all got together and say, let's play this rib. Let's make it even. So when you talk about guys that know how to work like that, my brother is such a great wrestler. A technician. So it was easy to go in there and work those great matches and not worry about your body either being hurt by the guys. I don't remember hurting anybody in wrestling. I don't remember, because I was brought up with the right things. Like I said, protect your opponent before you protect yourself. And I went into with guys like that were pros. So very, very, very seldom that I got injured in my career. In 11 years in WWF, I think I had maybe 3 weeks of injury on crutches by an accident, and it just so happened I was with Carl Willett, and it happened playing tennis in the afternoon at a gym because I twisted my ankle, and so it's like
that's usually how it goes. It's usually like the simplest thing that gets you hurt. Now, yes, I had a question. You were talking about doing the Iron Man matches, the hour-long matches on the non-televised events. Now, was that Pat Patterson's original idea, or was that Vince's idea? Like, who was to your knowledge, who do you think came up?
If I remember correctly, I think it was Pat Patterson's idea, because Pat Patterson, he was one of the guys that I worked with so many years up in Montreal, because he was a local guy from Montreal. He used to wrestle with my half brother Pierre Lefebvre and tag team and Frenchie Martin and all those guys that were from Quebec. And Pat Patterson, he knew how easy it was to work with us, because like I said, I remember so many times, if you go back in the history of WWF in the old matches and you go, they got these channels where you could go see, we do I remember maybe doing about 10 minutes before doing a lockup. I'd come in the ring with Shawn Michaels, and then I'd start, we were in tag team, let's say, and I start with Shawn Michaels, and we go to lock up. And as we go to lock up, I'd say, whoa, wait a minute. And then I'd back up a little bit, and then I'd go ahead and I'd do a nip up on the floor, like just boom, right on my feet. And then I'd look at the people like, hey, wasn't that great? Like, this wasn't that great. And then I turned to Shawn Michaels and says, hey, why don't you try to do it? And then Shawn Michaels would try to come lock up, and he said, no, take a second here. Show the people how good you are. Why don't you go ahead and try and do that? And so we'd work the crowd for about a minute or so, and then finally he'd do it. And the people would clap, like, yeah, he did it. So then we'd go to lock up. And then I'd go underneath him. I'd pass underneath him. I'd go outside the ring. I'd grab the ropes, and I'd do a flip over the top and land on my feet. And then I'd look at him. Then I'd look at him, and then I'd look at him, and I'd say, "Now you try this, smarty pants. Try this." And then I look at the people, and the people start going, and everybody, come on, do it. We get the people going. We didn't do nothing yet. And then finally, after he did it, the great big pop, because he did the flip over the top rope, Shawn Michaels, then I'd go to lock up, and then he'd go like, no, wait a minute now. And then he'd turn around, and then he'd walk up to the top rope, and then he'd do a backflip off the top rope. And then he'd look at me, and he'd go ahead. and then I'd go ahead like, and then it was amazing. We were telling stories. It was amazing working with those guys.
That's awesome. We had a question from Mike. He says, this is a little grim here, but he says, you think things that happen with Owen Hart's death could be avoided? Do they put wrestlers' lives in jeopardy to perform? So basically, he's asking you, like, what's your take on the whole Owen Hart thing?
Let's just put it this way. I wasn't there the night it happened, and I'm sure it wasn't in Vince's mind. So I just know that as the years went along, as you guys know, wrestling has got crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
and they want to sell tickets. And and sometimes it's like when you take I watch a lot of Netflix, and what I've learned now that I like personally is watching something on Netflix that has 1 or 2 seasons, because when they have 7 or 8 seasons, it becomes repetitive. Like, different people, different scenario, but we've seen it and done that, been there. So wrestling was the same way, and they kept building it, and more and more. The fans want more and more and more, and they kept giving them more and more and more, and so that's when I think like that things happen. But I think that the real key and success of wrestling today, and I don't care where they're at. I haven't watched it in 30 years. You put me booker, you put me in charge. I'm gonna start putting some storylines in there where I'm gonna get you so excited with less is more. I guarantee you.
Yeah, that's the one thing. As someone who's actually watched wrestling for 30 years, you can just like see the evolution from like when like your generation to like today. It's you can't even like really call it like the same sport or the same product. It's a completely different it's a completely different thing, because now you have guys that we were talking about it, that they would do like, it's just like move, and I agree with you, less is more. And don't get me wrong, the guys that can do the acrobats, the lightning fast moves, they're really talented, but man, if you mess up on something like that, it actually.
I think without even seeing wrestling, I could just tell you something. You could be in the ring. Just my point of view, you could take a simple drop kick, and you could take a bump on your back, and you could get up and then take another drop kick, take a hip like that, or you could just take a drop kick, fall on your back, and then take a second like, holy shit, like,
Yeah.
and have the guy in the ring going like, come on, get up, boy, get up.
Right.
Where it means something, so anyway, I'm the old timer here, so the old fashioned kind of way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's social media too. I mean, back in the day, you had people like Andre. They would go from territory to territory. Nobody ever seen them. It was mysterious. We didn't know where these people were from and anything. And like now, everybody's so connected. I mean, every wrestler's on Twitter. Everybody's on social media all the time. I mean, the mystique part is gone, so they have to invent new ways to do it. And I mean, we got to acknowledge the contemporary world that it's just a different world it was back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, you can't do things then now that you could do back then. There's just not, even if you wanted to, you couldn't get away with it. You know what I
mean? I'm surprised today that wrestlers don't go in the ring with their phone. It's like everybody's, they're driving with their phones. They're walking on the streets with their phone. They bump into each other because they're not looking in front of them. Or it's amazing. I'm surprised that there's not a gimmick where there's a wrestler that doesn't come in with his phone.
They had a couple of guys do that gimmick where they would take selfies coming to the ring and stuff.
Yeah, there was Matt Riddle one that he used to he had a selfie stick and he would pose every time before the selfie, and they would put it on the big screen. But yeah, well, I'm guilty of the phone thing too, man. I mean,
we all are.
We all are. I'm probably, and I can't yell at my kids because I'm on my phone more than my kids are. I mean, the kid like by a lot. Like, I mean, either on the phone. Well, usually I'm on the computer, but like, if we're out or something, I feel like I need to miss. Like say somebody messaged me or I get an email or something. I need to know right away. It's like it's an addiction. And I fully admit I probably need to.
But I still think, Joe, I still think honestly today that if you took a guy that was virgin of the business today, a guy like me, and you put me in charge of a territory, I guarantee you I could have you entertain you with all kinds of characters, and because my brain is still like in the old days, the old-fashioned day, and I can't wait. And the good thing about all this too, I got to tell you, is my wrestling academy. That's what it's all about. And it's funny because when I get these guys that haven't worked with each other, the guy from Vancouver, the guy with Nova Scotia, I get them on a Zoom conversation. And then we flip a coin to see who's going over, because that's not important in the competition. but I always make sure that the guy who's going over gets only 40% of the match, and the guy who's doing the job gets 60% of the match to shine. And I'm sitting there and I put the matches together with them, and I create matches, and you have no idea how much the talent last year, they kept telling me after, like, I put the match together with them, like, they'd say, oh man, this is so fun. Like, that, and there's no, I'm telling you, in my match, like, there's no poles, there's no chairs, there's no tables, there's no swearing, they're not allowed to cuss, there's no fingers, there's nothing. We're going on basic wrestling and emotions and talent and charisma and presentation, and so we're going back to the basic. And if you want, you could go see on my website. You could go see the matches we had last year. That's all there, last year's competition on my website. And just don't look at the commentaries, because the commentaries are horrible. It's still, I did them. And, and I'm not a good commentator. I remember me commentating going like this, like, wow, and whoa, and I didn't even know half of the moves they were doing. But I was just having fun. It was so funny. I'm going to tell you something really funny. There's this guy he comes from Kanawagi, and Cal Zachary. And he's part, like, Indian, like, like, how do you say it? What's the nationality there, huh?
Oh, from India?
American Indian, like, like, anyway.
Oh, Native Americans, yeah.
Native. So he's with the natives. But me, when I was growing up, we always had these expressions, like, at one point, like, I'd say, like, oh boy, he's in trouble, he better start doing his rain dance, and then but you can't do that. It's not politically correct today. Anyway, and at one time, there's a word in French that you say, prendre un coup. Prendre un coup means take a shot, but take a shot also when you're drinking, like, take a shot. So the guy took a shot. So I told him, I said, oh, he's used to taking a shot, And then because they drink a lot, they were known. That was in the older days. They used to think that, And so I said that in my comments. So don't listen to my comments. But it was so funny because Cal Zachary, after the competition, he called me up the next day, and he's a friend of mine. He was a student of mine like 25 years ago in my class. And he called me up, and he's the nicest guy on earth. And he says to me, he says, Jacques, I got about 100 calls yesterday from my friends. You can't say that, you can't joke about that. And but if you take the commentating out of there, which I did a horrible job, I just had fun. Me, I was just having fun. But if you look at the content, the contenu there, the content, it's awesome. If you want to go see the matches we put together last year, you'll have a great time. So they'll have no expectations when it comes. I'm not a Jesse the Body Ventura or nothing like that. But I mean, but if you go see the content, you'll see the competition was really fine last year. But this year, it's going to be twice as better, because now all the haters, they died, because everybody got the prizes and money. So now everybody passed the word out like, hey, this is a real opportunity. All the really top wrestlers of Canada, they all joined in. So you'll see, this is going to be amazing this year.
Yeah, and they got the AEW work too for the Toronto tapings.
They got it for that, but that wasn't even part of the deal at the beginning. It was like QT Marshall gave that as a bonus, But I'm not associated with AEW, not at all. I'm not associated with WWE, not at all. I'm associated with the Nightmare Factory, But from there, it's like Jeremy Prophet told me, he was one of my winners. He said, I spent 3 months with Cody Rhodes, and he says I text Cody Rhodes once a week and we talk. So Cody Rhodes got an eye on him, so he made that contact. And Matt Black, I'll never forget that my girlfriend and I were because at the Nightmare Factory, they have a milkshake shop there. And it's Billy Gunn's wife that does the milkshakes there, and has the boutique there.
Wow, okay.
So I was sitting there, and one day she came to sit with us, with my girlfriend and I were taking a milkshake, and she says to me, that guy, Matt Black? We need to book him at AEW. So it's like, I'm just saying that when you're around people that could help you in life, then who knows where it goes. And so I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Oh, it's all about networking. I feel you. I mean, think of me and you. I mean, I had you on the show, and I was like, hey, let's, if you want to come on the show, talk about the wrestling, can't always do it. And you network. That's networking 101, man. It's how it's done. It's beautiful.
Well, you guys are very kind to give me the time of day for this, and I really, really appreciate it, because it means a lot. And you guys are part of the success of Wrestling Academy, and you're also part of giving the visibility to the talent. Because, I think you have a video of that you may be able to insert there of all the talent. I send you a video where if ever you have a chance to put it in, you'll see it's pretty neat, because you see all that. It's like the intro of the music. It's a presentation of the Wrestling Academy 2023. And then we got this Atomic Train group in Canada that joined us this year for the song to play it, and it's so nice, all the action with everybody in there. It's a teaser for the show. So if ever you have a chance, you could put it in there. You'll see it's pretty cool.
I think I got it. Hold on. Let's see. Was it before or after the Flair video? Oh, here it is. It's right here. I got it. All right, let me bring this up big. Let me pause this.
You help these guys. You're helping a lot of the talent being exposed, and it's great visibility for them.
Gosh dang it. Facebook. I don't like Facebook, by the way. Hold
on. No problem.
Well, while he's looking that up, has Cody Rhodes invited you to WrestleMania yet? And would you go to WrestleMania if he invited you?
To be honest with you, I don't think he'd put himself in that position, because, Vince and we don't see eye to eye. So, but if I had an invitation to go, I would probably go. I'd probably go, because now bygones is bygones. But you'll see the presentation there. If you find, I think you got it there. Presentation.
Right here, right?
Not the sponsors. No, not the sponsors. It's another one there, Joe. It's the presentations. Maybe I didn't send it to you. You know what? I'm going to try and do it.
Hold on.
It's the presentations. You know what? I'm going to try and send it to you right now, just in case.
This one right here?
It says Wrestling Academy 2023. Let me see
here. This one right here?
I don't know. You have to start.
Wrestling Academy 2023 Gigantic News. Is that it?
Yes. Yeah. You go with that one. But that's the QT Marshall. But that's a good one. Go ahead and show that one. You'll see. It'll give you kind of a little taste there. Go ahead. Play that one. It's good.
Coaches, Daddy S, AEW star and WWE Hall of Famer Billy Gunn, and the winner of the 2023 WWE Royal Rumble, the man that will headline WrestleMania, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Now, in addition to the 12-week training, of course, the cash prize of $10,000 will go in your pocket as well. But it seems like every time I make one of these videos, I always like to up the ante. And this one is no different. But this one will also help me achieve a personal goal. I've never wrestled in Montreal, Canada, and after a lot of talks, Jacques Rougeau and myself, we've made a deal. Now, for the semifinalists, while you won't make it to the finals, there is a consolation prize. So I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is one of you will be chosen to step in the ring at the finals to go one-on-one with QT Marshall. And it's funny I said good news, because the bad news is the exact same thing. You're going to step in the ring with QT Marshall. There's only one way for me to truly see if you have what it takes. And that's for you to go one-on-one with the former God's gift and beat me in the middle of the ring. So semifinalists, get ready. Finalists, get ready. I am excited to come back to Montreal. I am literally chomping at the bit, standing in the ring, just waiting. So Wrestling Academy 2023, while last year was incredible, I already feel that this year is going to be astronomical.
So Joe, I just send it to you. Check it out there. See if you could pick it up. The other video. It's really awesome. It's this Canadian group there. It's that's singing our song and showing in presentation a little bit of the Wrestling Academy this year. This is really awesome. You guys will like this one.
All right, cool. Stand by.
And isn't it amazing? QT Marshall's going to be wrestling in Montreal for against one of the semifinalists.
Yeah,
that's amazing. What great opportunity again to wrestle with QT Marshall. If you don't make it to the finals, you're eliminated in the semifinals, but you get a chance to wrestle at the finals against QT Marshall. Now watch this video. This is cool. This is a very big group in Canada. And they're taking us on like in the Pet Project.
Junior Boursier du band Atomic Train. Et voici Lutte Académie 2023. Notre chanson Playground.
Oh yeah! Jacques Rougeau's Wrestling Academy 2023. It's the biggest pro wrestling competition in the
world, and it's coming very soon. It all starts with the first part of quarterfinals on May 7th at Montreal's Club Soda. Big prizes are on the line. At the end of it all, one woman and two men will each win $10,000 plus a 3-month scholarship at the prestigious wrestling school, the Nightmare Factory, where they'll be trained by top quality coaches QT Marshall, Cody Rhodes, and Billy Gunn. The whole world is talking about Wrestling Academy and a growing number of podcasts. They just can't believe the high-level competition that we have. We'll start it with a colossal collision of giants. We've got at 6'10", 300 pounds, Giant Orion.
Jesse V, when you finally in the ring with me, that's when you're going to realize that dream that you've been chasing for so long has become a nightmare.
He's facing 6'4", 275-pounder, Clutch Jesse V.
Giant Orion, don't underestimate what a man will do for $10,000. Because I don't care how tall you are, because when I pick you up and I slam you back down on that mat, you're only going to be looking up at me, Clutch Jesse V.
This bout alone is worth the price of admission. But wait, there's more. 5 other explosive matches are on the card. The women's division will be colorful and action-packed as Milicia Luciferia faces Amy Crimson. We've got a 6-man tag team match that will shake the ring as Salsa King John Gonzalez teams up with KO Shock and Jefferson James to face the King Brandon Bright, Eli Surge, and Homer City Shalom. You want more action? We've got more. The Battle of the West will be fought between Relentless Riley Rose and Zoe Sager. Another one people are looking forward to is the tag team action between Chad Daniel and Maverick Wheeler against Genesis Johnny North and Magnum McLaren with Big Eddie Diamond in their corner. That's gonna be crazy. And I have another one for you. The baddest bond in the world, Kyle Zachary, will face the Acadian Giant, Gabriel Savage, with manager Michel Plouf in his corner.
All right, you can go ahead and
Go to
thank
the
all the
second
sponsors
round,
and stuff.
and who will go home? During the semifinals in August, QT
Oh, yeah,
Marshall
man.
will
This is
wrestle
awesome.
for the first time in Montreal against one of the eliminated contestants. If we can't do that, it's because we have champion sponsors. Thanks, guys. It's the most coveted ticket in May. Purchase yours through the Club Soda website. For more details, please check out our website, Jacques Rougeau's Wrestling Academy 2023. It all starts on May 7th. You just cannot miss this.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Now,
Yeah.
now
I'm having
this-
fun with this.
this begs the obvious question, man. Do you have the energy to take this to like a regional thing, make it like a federation kind of? I mean, you would probably have to have a couple people on there, but I mean, we're getting older now. I mean, do you have that kind of energy in you?
You know, I'm like a fireball. You know, I swear I got so much energy because this is my passion. This is what I've been doing since I was young. And you know, and like I said, giving a dream to all these guys, an opportunity, you know, just to you guys have no idea how many personal messenger emails that I've got that made my day. Like, you know, just simple things like, Jacques, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. And for them, it's like the end of the world. And, you know, and it brings me back in my young age. So giving, you know, I'll tell you something about Jacques Rougeau. I have a lot of faults. I do. I swear to God, I do. I'm not a great, but one quality I have, one that I'm so proud of, is like, my neighbor wins $1 million. I'm not going to come out there and say, how come it always happens to the neighbor? You know, I'm going to come out and I'm going to say, man, I'm so happy for you. I'm always so happy. I've never been jealous of anybody. I've always been happy. When something good happens to somebody else, I'm happy for them. I have empathy for them. And you know, so me to give back to wrestling, to give back to these young people, it's like almost like I'm living my dream again. You know, it's like I see it through their eyes, like, you know, the passion and everything. So this, no, I would have, but I don't want to do a territory. That's not what I want at all. I like what I'm doing now. There's 4 shows per year only, but it takes a year to put this thing together, to do 4 shows.
And
But
it's
like,
rough, man. It's like that with me with the comedy thing. It's like, I got this YouTube show we do every week, but like with the comedy show, I mean, would I love to go out there and do stand up every week? Sure. But it's like, I just don't have the time because you got family, you got kids, we all got grandkids and stuff. There's a lot of things going on during the week.
Hey, Joe, when you do a show like that, it's very nice now, but I did like about 40 podcasts in the year. We got to take care of the hotels. We got to take care of the airplane tickets. We got to take care of the insurance of the show. We got to get the rings, the chairs, the venue. And there's so much responsibilities for a show like that. And when you do have spare time, you just want to put more spice on it. So you just you put more things on. I like what I'm doing now. And it's the one scoop I'll give you that I haven't given to anybody yet. This is the first time I'm going to tell you this, is this competition this year last year was for Canada only. Next year, I think I'm pulling in Mexico and United States.
Okay.
So I'm going to bring all the talent of the indies from everywhere. I'm going to send the invitations out, flying them in from everywhere, and I'll try to get the prize money up even more. Like, if I could get 3 winners of $20,000 instead of $10,000, $10,000, I made that at WrestleMania. It's a lot of money, but it's not only that, it's the prestigious. So if I could get this, and I know my concept now is working and it's good and people love it. So it's like, if I could get the North America into this, then, and yes, I'm dreaming of, I don't want weekly wrestling on TV. I don't want promotions, but I would like to have a TV show cover this. Like, the 4 events, just these 4 events, and have this produced across Canada, because it's a really, wrestling is booming like crazy in Canada. I don't know how it is in the States, but in Canada, it's booming. All the indies, all the little indie shows that they do, they're all sold out, and there's a big wave of wrestling now. And it's like, so I honestly think that there's interest and there's place for that. And the most important thing for me is, like, my entertainment that I'm showing them is family orientated. Like, so I remember when I was 4 or 5, 6 years old, I used to go see my dad wrestle, and I used to go see the midgets. I used to go see the high flyers. I remember when I started in the WWF, it was so much fun. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, whoa, and Coco Beware with his bird, and, Jake the Snake with his snake. And, everybody had characters, and it was fun. The kids could watch it. It was fun. And so I'm bringing that back to life, and I think that, you don't have to bring the parents. You don't have to show things for the parents to come watch the show. Just do it for the kids. The kids, they'll bring the parents. The kids, they can't come alone. So, so if you can manage to use your brain and put some storylines and some entertaining matches there for the kids, the parents will come and they'll see their kids have fun, so they will have fun.
Yeah. Now, what if somebody came to you and was like, "Yo, I want to do your gimmick"? They just like, "I want to be the Mountie too," and they just came out, and would you be like, "Whoa, stop a little bit," or would you listen to what their plan was? Like, say somebody wanted to be just like you with the exact hat and everything, maybe just call themselves something else. What would you think?
I would say, "Hey, what you doing there, copycat?" But it's like somebody came out like Jake the Snake with another snake. They could try it, but it'll never get over like the original. I never, because it's not only about the working, it's not about the gimmick, it's about the memories. Like, it's about, we're attached to some people, like, for the reasons. If another guy came out with a bird and stuff, people would just be pissed off because they're trying to take Coco Beware's gimmick. So to me, I'm 63 years old. I'm doing my own thing, whatever they want to do. I know that one time it was so funny. I had some friends who sent me a video of Vince played a joke or something with 2 guys now that are in AEW. That one dressed up as the Mountie came out there, and what was his name? Mosley? No, what's the guy in AEW?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I remember.
John Moxley.
Moxley, yeah, John Moxley.
He came out. He dressed out as the Mountie. I think he came out and then the announcer said, "Why you dressed out like the Mountie?" And then they finished by saying, like, "The Mountie always gets his man," or something like that. But it was like almost like a clin d'oeil, like a wink back at me, like a memory lane back. I thought it was great. And when I went to AEW in Toronto last fall, he was there, and it was so funny because I didn't know the guy. And when I came up to him, I said, he came to me, he said, "How you doing, sir?" He was so polite and so nice, and I said, "I'm the Mountie." I looked at him and I said, "I'm the Mountie," and it was funny. He was very, very kind. But that was nice. That was like just like how can I say that? Almost like a flashback or something. And but I wouldn't. I don't think. I think it would kind of. It would aggravate me a little bit, if another Mountie came out with a shock stick and everything that I did. I think that would kind of touch me a little bit. Like it would probably. But I wouldn't do nothing about it. But I would. It would kind of. How can I say how am I expressing myself right there? It wouldn't aggravated. It would tease me a little bit there on the bad side, like saying just, "Hey, leave that gimmick alone. That's mine." That's. But.
Well, that begs the question: do you think that a lot of the wrestling? I mean, they kind of ran out of gimmicks. I mean, they kind of have to invent stuff after a point. I mean, there's only so many things you could do. I mean, I guess you could theoretically, come up with anything, I guess. But I mean, is that a hindrance for a lot of these wrestling federations, would you say?
I wouldn't want to be in the young guy's shoes today, because like you said, when we came from WrestleMania 3 with 93,000 people and then the pay-per-views seen around the world and everything, like we showed the best. And all the gimmicks were so nice and entertaining every time they came in the 80s and the 90s. But then after that, it became more sexual, more drugs, beer in the ring, and more fingers, and more this and more that. So I wouldn't want to be a youngster today trying to make my place in the business, because you have to come up with some serious good ideas that they haven't seen yet. I think you're right about that.
Now we got a question from Mike. He says, "What do you not like about the wrestling profession? Anything you don't like about being a wrestler?"
No, I have to say the traveling. In my days, I was traveling 25 days a month. And it was like I was doing 25 shows and in 25 different cities around the world, and I'd fly like 3-4 times a week. 5-6 hour flights, and you lose your luggage, and you're tired. You got to find a gym. You got to get in line for a rent-a-car. You got to bring your rent-a-car back. Get in line for a hotel. Find a gym. Find a tanning salon. Go to the arena and come out late. You can't eat. The restaurants are closed. There's a bunch of the traveling was the hardest thing, I think, in those days. I don't think they travel like this anymore today in the business, like 25 days a month. I don't think it's like that anymore. No, but it was hard. And then you have to go work. You have to go in the ring. You have to go work, so you'd go in the gym in the morning and you have to perform at night. And so I think that was the hardest thing, I think, in my days.
Now, I had a quick question. When you were wrestling, did you like wrestling for TV more, working the TV shows, the pay-per-views, or did you like wrestling the house shows where it was just you and the audience and the matches weren't necessarily going to be seen?
Absolutely. The house shows were the best. The house shows, you'd go in there, and what was fun about the house shows is you'd be married to a guy or two there, and work with them almost the whole tour, and then so it'd be fun. So at the end there, you after a couple of nights, and the guys were so professional, it would be like a walk in the park. The only thing you had to go do is perform, and so you could. But when you go on TV, you could only do the match once, because everybody's seen it. So you can't go back in the house show and do the same one. So when you go in the house show, you could do it around the world, the match, and then they all saw it for the first time. So when you work with a guy and you have a routine and it works, and it just reminds me of, I can never forget about the Chief Jay Strongbow, who used to, I used to work with the Hearts and a lot, and with Raymond at the beginning, and I was a young pup who wanted to do a lot of things. I wanted to do a lot of things, and the guys were saying like, I'd say, "Hey guys, why don't we do this tonight?" And I remember a couple of times Brett would go see the Chief and talk to Jacques, and then so the Chief would come up and see me and say, "Jacques, why change something that works?" You got a routine, just stick to it. It works like that. We're getting the crowds up on their feet. You guys are tearing the building apart. Don't worry about changing every night. And so I always enjoyed house shows very, very much.
Heck yeah. All right, I think that's going to about wrap it up here. I would like to appreciate, Jack, thanks so much for coming out, brother. It's always an honor. You're always welcome back anytime.
I owe you the thank you. I owe you the thank yous, guys. And then thank you so much. And then I wish all you guys to follow my wrestling academy. It's a novelty. It's the biggest contest around the world right now for the biggest prizes and the most entertaining prizes to go and the best school to go at. And so who knows? One day you'll be following this competition and maybe one of my talent will pop up in the big shows or the big arenas and the big leagues, and you'll say, "Hey, I saw them on Wrestling Academy with Jacques Rougeau. We discovered them."
Heck yeah, man! If you got any talent who wants to come on for an interview, let me know. I'll definitely throw them up for sure.
And hey guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's basically really the only wrestling related reality show going on. WWE isn't doing Tough Enough anymore. AEW isn't doing any reality type competitions like this. So if you're a fan of wrestling and if you're a fan of reality shows, this is definitely something everyone should check out. The website's right on the screen there. You can check out the last year's competition, and yeah, who knows? I mean, there's like countless number of times you see somebody come in as an extra, and then a couple years later, they're a mega superstar. So yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised at all. Like in 4 or 5 years, hey, maybe in 4 or 5 years, Cody Rhodes will be defending the WWE Championship against someone from this competition.
Cody's not the champion, bro. It's not happened. It hasn't happened yet.
Well, spoiler, not spoiler. All the insider fans.
And you know what? And what's very
my shot. He's defeating Roman at WrestleMania, but we might have to talk about that another.
I hope so. But for my talent. But you know what? The thing that's amazing is when you see this, like I said, this competition of last year was our first year, and like I said, this year the inscriptions are so much bigger and better. So if you like what you saw last year, imagine how bigger and better it's going to be this year. So take a look. You'll see the talent. You can go on the website, and then after that, go and click on the pictures of everybody on the website. You'll see the old timers talk about the thing, and you'll see the talent performing for 30 seconds on the mic and in the ring. And you'll see, you know what? There's one guy that showed me something. I just want to finish off with that. I don't want to say any names because I don't want to seem like I prefer somebody more than another. But, in the last few years, we've seen a lot of 450s off the top rope, like 450s, the guy does a flip and a half, and he's there's a guy in this competition. You go see him on my website. He does a 630. Yeah, I swear I feel like he's going to break his neck.
Oh, I know. Every time I see that move, I cringe. Like,
so check it out on the website, and thank you guys.
All right, appreciate it, Jack. Much love.
Thank you, Jacques.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.
See you down the road. Thank you.
For sure.